Welcome to Drink Beer, Think Beer, the podcast that gets to the bottom of every pint. I'm John Hall. Sam Masotto of Bonn Brewing in Pennsylvania is here for a conversation about hospitality, food, and fun. It's a special episode recorded at the brewery in front of an enthusiastic crowd. First up, though, please go visit allaboutbeer.com. There you can find original articles, news, reviews, insights, and podcasts. You can listen to shows like Beer Travelers, Brewer to Brewer, and the All About Beer podcast simply by searching All About Beer wherever you listen to shows. This show and all of the work we do, it's supported by you. Please go visit patreon.com/allaboutbeer. A few bucks goes a long way to keep the content fresh and to fund writers, photographers, creators, and editors. And if you'd like to learn more about advertising on this show, please email info@allaboutbeer.com. Speaking of that, you know that's the sound of another sale on your online Shopify store. But did you know Shopify powers selling in person too? That's right. Shopify is the sound of selling everywhere. Online, in-store, on social media, and beyond. Take customers from picking it out to picking it up. Shopify syncs in-store inventory with Google, so when local customers search for that thing that they want that you have, bam, you're there. Demand meets supply. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/drinkbeer. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/drinkbeer to take your retail business to the next level today. Shopify.com/drinkbeer. It is the humble peanut butter and jelly sandwich that brings us together for this episode. When the Craft Brewery Cookbook, what I was working on a couple years ago, was coming together, I reached out to brewers about their favorite pairings and possible recipe inclusion in the book. Sam Masotto of Bonn Brewing in Bethlehem, PA, made a full-throated case for a fancy peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Both tickled and intrigued, I eventually put it in the book. Now, more than a year later, we sat together in his brewery, which he founded with wife Gina, for an evening with friends, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and drinking Saison that he aged on various fruits from a local farm. We're going to talk about all of that, along with the role of hospitality and coming together. All of this feels appropriate for a Thanksgiving week show. Here's our conversation. I've been thinking a lot about this conversation in advance, and I've been fortunate to come out here, I don't know how many times now, to your wonderful brewery, and every time I'm here, I think about how what you and Gina have created with this space and how you're brewing with intention and how you have made a brewery that people want to come to. You're making the beers that you want to make. You're not necessarily conforming to the larger outside norms. And I wonder where we are in 2023 right now with so much uncertainty in the industry. And I know everybody's feeling squeezes in different levels, but is Bonn Place right now what you envisioned it to be when you both opened up? Like, are you here? Is this the vision?
I think it's actually more where I envisioned it now than it was when we first opened. I think
Really?
we became a bit of a, I don't want to say a busy college bar, but I want to say a busy college bar pretty quickly, and that's not what I envisioned from Bonn Place.
What did you envision for Bonn Place in the beginning?
Well, what you're looking at now, drinking Plan B and talking to you. And eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That was on the original menu, by the way. There was a food menu, right? So we had a food menu, and we had assumed we would be distributing so much beer, and we'd be filling growlers, and maybe one day packaging in bottles and things like this. We didn't think we would be a pub so much as we became. So I would say now, with where the market is and where the consumer is, we're more where I envisioned us.
I'm having a hard time reconciling that, because when I think of your beers, and I'm drinking Mooey right now, which I've enjoyed for years. It is, I think, on every serious beer drinker's must-drink list. I mean, you're not going to take over grocery retail with a pub ale.
Not yet, at least.
Okay. Do you think there's a market for?
Well, I mean, maybe in New Jersey or something. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be in the Lehigh Valley. No, you're right.
But the beers that you're making, though, are so conducive to this cozy atmosphere.
Sure.
Like, I don't think about that as necessarily like the college bar atmosphere when it comes to, dollar can night or something.
Right. So I guess, well, in that reconciliation, in that case, I did envision it to be what you see before you, and that is a pub atmosphere where people feel comfortable and they're, so maybe I misspoke. Maybe I meant to say I didn't envision it becoming a slightly busy college bar.
Okay.
So quickly, especially. I envisioned more this and what it has become, and that's, some place where people can enjoy a quiet pint and good conversation and what some people would call good crack, or I don't know what the Americans don't have a word for this. Is
good crack?
Yeah, I'm not really Irish, so I
don't know
can't
that.
speak to that. Are there any Irish folks in the house? It's good crack, right? So it's the Gemütlichkeit.
Okay, I get that from the church. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
I wasn't sure if good crack was harkening back to Bethlehem's darker days. That's just
Whoa. In 2015, when we signed our lease here, there was a lot of good crack around. That's for sure.
Some bad stuff too.
I don't know. I never tried it, but at that time. So yeah. I didn't. I think we're saying the same thing.
Okay.
I didn't anticipate it becoming what it was in 2017, 18.
Yeah.
And I was not upset by it. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I envisioned. This is more what I envisioned. So yes.
Are you? When I go to breweries with intention, when I go to places that are making the beers that they want to make, when they're putting the stuff out that they believe in and that they know how to make well, invariably the conversation turns to, well, and then there's this guy in the other day and he was asking how many, why don't we have 9 hazies on right now? How much is this pub ale double dry hopped? How come there's no mosaic in your dark mild? Questions along those lines. Has that ever been a conversation? You're shaking your head. That's not a conversation that happens.
No, I don't think those people know about us.
Okay.
They don't want to know about us. It's never been exposed. I think they come in and they're confused by everything, and maybe they've heard something that they didn't. No, we don't really get that. We don't get the, can I get a Miller Lite?
Really?
We never have. No.
Okay.
No. When I say busy college bar, I think even in those days when the undergrads and it was mostly graduate students and faculty and staff, but when the undergrads would come in, they seemed to have a certain level of beer knowledge, at least, coming in. And they would want something maybe a bit more hop forward or something like this, or stronger. Those were typical.
Okay.
So we're typical in that way, I would say, but we don't get the, where's your 9 IPAs?
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're asking for imperial milds.
Whether they're asking for it or not, they're getting it. That's... Yeah, no, we don't even really get what's the strongest thing you got. When I was working in New York, that was a very popular question.
Sure. Yeah, and I feel like it still is at festivals whenever those are happening, or, if the vibe of the place, like Pony Bar, for example,
right.
is, you get a lot of the commuters, you get a lot of the happy hour crowd, you get a lot of the folks who want to sort of shake the day away, and the best way to do that is through high ABV, as opposed to walking into a comfortable pub like this where you can shake away the day but also keep your wits about you.
Yeah. Wits or dark milds or
what?
Nobody wits. Wits. I got a wink.
Yeah, I think we just call them Belgian whites these days. But
yeah, right.
Your time at Pony Bar, your time bartending in the city, how did that inform what you wanted this to be?
Oh, that's a great one. So you picked up on that. At the time, the popular questions were, what do you have that's strong? What do you have that's hoppy? What do you have that's light? Was actually probably even more popular. We got a lot more of the, can I just get a Bud Light? And we had Bud Light. It was $7 a bottle for 12 ounces
right.
in New York City in 2009 when a 14-ounce glass of draft whatever, Scrimshaw Pills was
6 months out of code,
$5. It was 2009. But the popular questions were, what do you have that's strong? What do you have that's light? What do you have that's hoppy? What do you have, what IPA do you have?
Yeah.
What do you have that tastes like a Blue Moon?
Sure.
What do you have that's, et cetera, et cetera? Sour. Sour was a popular one.
Sour, okay.
So that informed me that I had to have at least 8 taps and satisfy all of those things. And I've really never fully realized that. I've never had this draft list or this list be exactly that, but we've had it pretty darn close. we've been able to say like, well, what do you have? But that's not really, those aren't really popular questions. That's shifted.
Yeah.
But that did inform me as to like what could maybe satisfy the beer drinker in general. And I think that's what we're seeing now is we're seeing people who are going out to a brewery are sorting themselves out. Maybe they're going to enjoy the atmosphere. A place like this, we get a lot of people, they wouldn't mind if we were serving something else. But I do think that a lot of people who are seeking out breweries now are looking for, those beer questions, like for answers to those beer questions. Therefore, if there's 100% of beer drinkers and 20% of those beer drinkers only want IPA, they might not be super happy here, but they'd find something they like. If 30 to 40% total, and so another additional 15 to 20% want Imperial Stout or IPA, Pastry Stout or IPA or something like this. And then from there on, I would say that arguably about 20% of the market doesn't want IPA at all. So what I've always strived for is to satisfy 100% of the market by having things like pub ale that can satisfy maybe 60% of these people, and then, whatever it is, Scooch or Stupid Kitty or something that is at least hop forward enough to satisfy the IPA drinker.
To scratch that itch.
Right.
Yeah. How has the conversation evolved in the years that you've been open with some of those customers that come in looking for what they think the craft market is, or their experience of the craft market? Have those conversations evolved over time?
Absolutely, and I feel like those conversations evolved. I mean, I think we've all had that journey, right? Whether you jumped from Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout and Yingling Black and Tan and Guinness to, oh wow, I also enjoy this, and then maybe landed somewhere and you hit your stride, and then you always come back to what you originally fell in love with.
Yeah.
But I do find that a lot of people who used to only exclusively drink IPA or hop forward aren't always just that anymore. They do want some variety. I have noticed that. There has been a shift in the conversation. And lower ABV has become more than ever, I think, I feel like a thing.
I'm drinking lower ABV these days. I'm dabbling a lot more in the NAs, and I think that there is something to be said for all of us getting older, a little bit wiser, wanting to function well the next day, but also the quality, I think, has gotten better as well. It was hard for a long time. When you're thinking about a new recipe now or a new beer to put out, are you starting with ABV? Are you in mind? Where does the process begin for you?
I feel like we're in a stride where we just want to make sure we have a rotation of variety. So ABV may play into that, but it's more seasonally deliberate within, like, for instance, our holiday beer that comes out every year around this time is 11% plus, and so we make sure that we brew it now. I mean,
sure. That
could shift. We could say, like, that one started a lot higher this year and finished a lot higher. So similar ABV, but a lot sweeter.
Yeah.
So we may designate or determine what we're brewing by ABV just because that's appropriate for when we're brewing it. So our Doppelbock comes out around, what do you call, Lent. So
yeah,
we would make sure we have a 7 to 8% Doppelbock style.
Liquid bread, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody has to live off of it.
There is a guy, right, who isn't there a guy who every Lent just only drinks beer and like blogs?
I do one
that's
week.
365, but yeah.
No, there's a person who does all 40 days. I've done a week. I've done 7 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, all right. I wasn't planning on this. Wasn't on my bingo card, but walk me through. What's that like?
Awful. It's really. I didn't realize how awful it was until I did a juice fast earlier this year. If anybody ever tells you a juice fast is challenging, tell them to do a beer fast.
Well, all right, but like let's walk through it. Like first day, you're like, all right, this is kind of good.
First day, I just drink water because I know what's coming. Because
Yeah.
I've done it. And so when I worked at Newburgh Brewing, Chris Basso and I did that.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing this for years, and it hasn't been every year. I've given up, or I've shifted. I've skipped a year. You know, there was that whole 2020 thing.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's day one is typically just water, and then day two it's 4 pints a day for 7 days, and by day 6 I'm just drinking water again. I can't do it. I can't have 7%.
But
beers.
like, what's your body going through at that point?
It's just
Is it
doing
mad
its
at you?
thing. No, it's cool. It's like, I mean, I guess maybe my body's like, what the hell?
Is your
are you-
family mad at you?
Hey, Davi. No, they didn't. I don't think they know. I do enough harebrained crap that,
Okay.
I run every day,
Yeah.
at least 2 miles a day.
Right. Yeah.
And that's like normal. I don't know. It's not, I don't know.
All right.
It's weird. But
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was awful until I did juice. And I was like, this is great. Because you're getting like nutrition.
Yeah.
And nourishment.
Yeah. Instead of just
4
the
beers.
doppelbock.
Yeah, wow. And they're like way drier than they used to be. I'm sure when the monks were doing it, they were like finishing at 10 Play-Doh or something.
Yeah.
They were,
But also super infected. So yeah.
Right.
It's-
Yeah. Full of pediococcus. If it's not an infection, if you inoculate it.
All right. So you talked about harebrained ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it's harder to do these days, but in the beginning, your social media was filled with characters. It was playing into your acting background. It was drawing people in a fun way. What's the craziest thing you've done? What's the harebrained thing that still sticks out in your mind after all these years at the brewery of like, either you can't believe you got away with it, or you're still paying off the insurance?
Oh, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. I drank.
Wow.
Ryan, for a long time, I was drinking concoctions, and
The cocktail?
cocktails. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ooh. I threw a clove cigarette into a shot of espresso and drank an ounce of anise, and it was awful. I would say that was the worst thing I've ever done, but I don't think there was any there was only cerebral damage from that. I don't
Yeah, I
think there
was
was
gonna say.
any collateral damage. I don't know. I mean, I would have to have somebody else answer. Maybe this is the audience participation portion. I don't know. I don't think I'm clean. I mean, I probably just left the mess in the corner instead
Yeah.
of cleaning it up. I put the paper towel over it.
That's the Bonn Place After Dark segment that we'll do.
Well, it is dark out.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me about your relationship with beer and food and where you think the two belong together.
Right. So.
And then we're going to talk about what we're doing tonight. But yeah, let's start with the 35,000 foot view and then sort of dial in.
So the paradigm shift for me occurred when I was drinking Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout. I mean, I had referenced it once earlier, and I realized that there was no chocolate in that beer, and that freaked me out.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool because then it was like, well, Cascade hops and grapefruit. Like Cascade hops don't taste like grapefruit; they taste like. Josh could help me out here, whatever that chemical is called.
Lupulin? What? Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes like lupulin, right?
Okay,
Everything
sure,
tastes
yeah.
like lupulin. Lanolin
Sure.
and lupulin.
Okay.
It's the two people who discovered Rome. So that's nothing. I got nothing to
Yeah,
it.
okay, yeah.
So that started the sort of.
I know you're trying hard.
I'm
It's
trying
good.
so
It's
darn
okay.
hard.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's just my whole life.
It's Monday night.
Culinary accompaniment. I think wine and beer both do really well with food. I don't know that whiskey or tequila do as well with food. So,
Right.
Despite my 17th year on this planet, so I feel like beer pairs really well with food because of the brewer's responsibility to that product and like the ability to control and dial in those flavors and to sort of maybe like mess with people's heads a little bit, and certain beers, of course, do pair, we'll say, better with certain foods. But
Yeah.
I also have a really strange palate, Like I like things that I don't know that everybody likes.
What's a good example of that?
Licorice.
Okay.
Mustard. I like a lot of mustard, like a ridiculous amount of mustard.
I'm seeing people nod along with you. I don't think you've said anything.
Licorice and mustard together?
Sure. Yeah.
No.
When you're dipping it in. Yeah.
No, I
Getting right down into the nitty gritty of the jar. Yeah. Don't.
What's that Belgian mustard beer? I love that beer.
Is there a Belgian mustard beer?
Yeah, they make it with mustard seed. It's awesome. Bushy. What's it called? There it is.
Westinia?
Oh, Nima. Nima, thank you for bringing a case of Saison Dupont. Speaking of beer going really great with food.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of beer going really great with food, I think it's an awesome example of something, that just how dry it is and peppery and, culinary that beer is, and it doesn't have to be so, but I feel like that beer particularly pairs well with a lot of dishes,
Yeah.
Whether it's schnitzel or I don't know, macaroni and cheese or peanut butter and jelly.
All right, so a while back you reached out to me. So you have a recipe in the last book that I did that came out, the Craft Brewery Cookbook.
Oh yeah, you have to sign some of those tonight, don't you?
At some point, if anybody wants it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do a fancy peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I was like,
so July 15th, 2020, the state told us we had to do a fancy peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You see, if we wanted to sell,
the Commonwealth passed a law.
Yeah, they said if you want to continue serving Mooey, you need to start serving peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but not just any.
Big peanut butter's really just putting on the
Those lobbies are strong. And it wasn't just any peanut butter and jelly. They said that we had to get the peanut butter crushed by a little Mennonite shop in Fleetwood, Pennsylvania, and that the fruit butter had to come from a really wonderful farm in Sassaman'sville, Pennsylvania, and that all the fruit for those fruit butters had to come from within 10 miles, aside from blueberries and cranberries. Am I right? Is that right? That's ish. Right on. Okay. And that the bread could come from wherever it wanted to come from, and then, of course, chili, garlic sauce, and potato chips.
I love everybody who's listening to this at home right now. They're just confused as all fuck. Like, it's just, yeah. So in 2020, if you wanted to stay open for the pandemic, you had to serve food.
Yeah, right. So let's go.
You were going to do peanut butter and jelly.
They were on the original menu, like I said.
You took us on the scenic route. I just want to dial it in for the folks who are like, the fuck is he talking about?
I got the top off the convertible, baby. Let's go. I used the chainsaw to do it. Let's just keep driving.
All right, so you started doing peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
So that you could have food.
Yeah, so we wanted to offer something that was, had some sort of nutritional value. We understood that, of course, there are a lot of nut allergies and gluten allergies, so this could be an issue, but it was shelf stable. Yeah. It was nutritious, it was delicious, and we could freeze the leftovers and feed them to our son, like we're going to do tonight.
It's
By the way, everybody, we made like 150 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We have paper bags. Please take some home with you. You paid for them. You take them.
So in thinking about tonight, so you reach out to me a couple months ago and you say, hey, let's do something for the cookbook. And I was like, absolutely. I want to come out. I want to come to Bonn Place. I love being here.
Right.
And you're like, all right, I'm going to think of something. I'll let you know what it is. And I was like, great, we'll do a podcast. That was the starting point. I was like, we'll do a podcast. Mm-hmm. You figure it out. You let me know what you need. And then you come back to me with this idea that evolved multiple times, but ultimately turned into, we're going to sit in mood lighting.
Right.
Eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches by candlelight.
Playing with our lightsabers.
And we're gonna pair it with Saison.
Right.
And in my mind, I went back to Carly Simon.
Oh.
And bear with me here. So Carly Simon was raising money for some charity years ago, and the highest bidder would get to go to her house somewhere like on Cape Cod, like let's just call it Martha's Vineyard, right? That she has a house there. Mm-hmm. And she would serve them chocolate cake and vodka. Mm. And at midnight would walk up behind the person who donated the most money to this charity, and she would tell that person and only that person,
I wrote this song about you.
Right. Yeah, she would reveal who the person is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when you were like, hey, we're going to do Saison and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches by candlelight on a day that we're normally closed, I was getting really strong Carly Simon vibes off of this.
I think you should have gotten more Meatloaf vibes. I would do anything for love.
That's another podcast that Evan Watson from Plan B is here in the audience right now.
In the house.
That's a whole other podcast. But I feel like with that Carly Simon setup that I just gave you, what is the Bonn Place truth that you can all tell us right now?
Whoa, about what? Just in general?
I don't know, yeah.
Holy crap. Talk about a paradigm shift.
Didn't see that one coming, yeah.
Gina earlier today said that, what is the Bonn Place truth? What's like the value? I don't know.
What is the truth?
I'm just fucking with everybody continually.
Yeah, well, we know that. Yeah. Anybody who's been listening to this for the last 25 minutes.
So everybody knows Carly Simon's talking about Warren Beatty and James Taylor.
Right.
She was married to James Taylor.
There you go.
Yeah. You're so vain, yeah.
No, I wanted to get this out, so maybe this will shine some light on it. Earlier today, Gina said the peanut butter and jellies. How did you put it? You said nobody has a bad day with the peanut butter and jelly or something like that.
When you get a peanut butter and jelly, you don't think
I'm late for work. You don't think my car broke down and I can't afford it. You think
Where are the potato chips?
You think where are the potato chips? You think I'm riding my bike all day until the sun goes down. You think about your childhood. You don't think about all the hard things that are happening in your life. So when you sit down and you have a beer and a peanut butter and jelly, you go back to a nice place. You don't go back to COVID. You don't go back to, not being able to afford your mortgage or your rent or whatever. You go back to a nice, solid place. And it might only be 3 ingredients, but those 3 ingredients really fill your soul and fill your heart with something more simple. Does that make any sense?
So that's
Why isn't Gina on this podcast right now?
I don't know, man. She has no voice. She said she couldn't do it, and that's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown. Well, so I think that's what Bonn Place is in general. When Gina and I lived on Bonn Place in Weehawken, and we always came back from New York City, and I was making boatloads of money at Pony Bar, but it was stressful sometimes. And you would come back to this safe place, and it was like a stone's throw from New York City, or if you were
Weehawken, who for
Alexander
folks who don't know,
Hamilton,
it's just it's right across. Yeah.
Right. So
right across from Manhattan.
Right across the river from Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
So it was always this relief. And I feel like that's what Bonn Place is. And the reason I wanted Gina to say that is, the eloquence and, of course, articulation that I could never provide. Going back to my why, maybe, of just screwing with everybody.
Yeah.
But truly, I think what Gina just nailed it, and that's what I wanted to make sure that got across, is the Bonn Place why, or the secret, or the trick, or the thing is just spin on your own axis and just do what you do well and make sure that, you make it comfortable for people. And if you want to get weird, but live your life and do your thing. And that's, I don't know, Gina said it best. I'm just repeating myself now.
Do you see, you still get out now and again. You see what the larger industry has become.
Yeah.
Is there, I feel like, again, going back to that brewing with intention thing, but this is what I want the future of beer to be. I want this to be the cozy pub. I want it to be the easy drinking beers that have rich flavor to them and that have been crafted carefully and with attention, but that I also don't have to fuss over when I'm drinking it, and then I can have a nice conversation as opposed to just ticking off something on an app. And I think those days are largely behind a lot of folks.
Thank God. It got out of control, really.
This is a delicious ESB, 1 star.
But I don't like ESB.
Yeah, but I don't like ESB.
I don't like bitter. Yeah. I found out what the B stands for.
The bitter
Get out of my way.
Yeah, bitter is too bitter.
When we opened, Mooey was a pub ale, and I think that's the most genius thing I ever did. Gina was writing on the board. She was like, "What's Mooey?" I was like, "A pub ale," because when I went to McCausland in Montreal, I was like, pub ale, huh? Or Boddington's.
Yeah,
pub.
Boddington's.
I like pubs.
Yeah.
I like bitter.
I like ale.
I like ales.
Yeah.
I like ales and lagers, like Yingling. That is a popular one.
Lager ales.
You just
and porters.
go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think beer got out of control in so many ways. One of the biggest things I feel like is it's just snobby's a good word. It just got too fussy and fickle. Just enjoy it for what it is. And I'm not saying that there's not beer out there that I wouldn't say no thank you to. I've had an experience recently at a brewery where I politely poured the beer in the urinal when I went to the bathroom so that the bartender wouldn't see me pour the beer in the urinal. It's fine. We all pour beer in the urinal.
Well, sure. Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. So
half of us at least.
Yeah. Well, in one way or another, is the dispensing technique.
Yeah, we're only renting it. It's the old line. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fish do something in it. Something like this. I think beer got out of control in so many ways, and then everybody became you, right, John? They all became experts.
No, no, I'm
they
far from it.
fancied themselves.
Yeah.
Well, but that's just the point.
Yeah.
I think anybody of any notoriety would say they're far from it. There's a lot of really good company in this room right now. Some of the most talented brewers in New York and Pennsylvania are in this room right now, in my opinion, from the limited amounts of breweries.
Do you want to name drop?
Oh, sure.
Strain your back a little
namely,
bit.
there's 2 Joshes right in front of me. Josh Fryoff, who brews here at Bonn Place Brewing Company. And then Josh Bushy, who now brews at Fegley's Bethlehem Brewers.
Woo!
Easily the most awarded brewer in the room. And then, of course, Evan Watson, Brendan Breslin, Wishful Thinking Brewing and Plan B Brewing, not respectively the other way around. Nima from
it,
Shanghi's
reverse it.
over there, not a brewer, but shoot,
But-
he
but-
knows how to pour ice over a Saison DuPont like nobody I've ever met.
And a hell of a great beer store. Yeah.
Hell of a great beer store. One of the best. Another featured article recently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
No,
there's a whole list about it. Yeah.
yeah. There's a cookbook.
There's a
list.
cookbook. There's a list. Yeah.
Oh shit! And then there's Ryan, who's not in front of me right now. Oh my God, Ryan, I'm so sorry. Holy cow! See, this is what I do. Ryan Kelly. I said there's somebody else.
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly over behind the bar. If we could get a louder round of applause. Who also brews at Bonn Place Brewing Company. And now I'm looking around to make sure I did not actually miss
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah. Who else wants their name dropped? Yeah.
People come from out of town.
Sometimes people come from Queens, New York.
Yeah. I mean, I came all the way from New Jersey for this. This is yeah.
Yeah,
Across the
that's
state
a
line.
that's a bumper sticker.
It's a.
I came all the
I
way.
came
from
all the way from
and
Jersey,
it's
and all I
mooey.
got was this excellent pub ale. Yeah.
Actually,
coin it, print it. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can have
it's
it. It's
pretty-
okay. Between Ryan, Josh, and I here at Bonn Place with our accolades, I still think Josh Bushy is more awarded than the three of us combined. So yeah, I feel like it's just the company you keep and your peers and the respect. And it used to be, I feel like it used to be a lot more of brewers.
Yeah.
We're in competition of who could make the better Pilsner, right? And what is
Sure.
better anyway? But it's like, oh damn, it's like Michael Jackson walked in the room and heard Prince for the first time. It's like, like what am I gonna do about this guy, right? And you're like, oh shoot, there's
This
Josh
is-
Bushy over there.
This is how broken I am as a beer writer. Is that you said Michael Jackson? And
Oh,
Prince,
right.
And I thought of the old English guy.
And he went, ooh. Yeah.
My word.
Oh,
yeah.
dear. I'm chuffed. So
Yeah.
I feel like it became brewery owners started running the Instagram page.
Yeah.
And brewery owners weren't always brewers. And brewery owners started running the Untapped page. And, I think Greg Avola is a great person. I really, I enjoyed when he was doing beta tests at Bonn Place.
Sure.
Or, that's not Bonn Place, Pony Bar.
Yeah.
Back when I worked at Pony Bar,
Yeah.
not Bonn Place. I do think that there's some good in it, but I think it just got out of hand, And I think brewery owners are to blame.
I'll point out that Greg is not with that company.
I do
anymore.
know that. That's
Yeah,
why I can
he's
speak
been
so freely about how much
he's
I
been-
like him.
Yeah, no, it's same as an early beta tester. He's like, oh, this is kind of neat. It's a fun way to
Yeah,
keep
I'm not
track
gonna.
of stuff,
He's like
and then
the
it's-
Keurig guy. He
Yeah.
ruined the world. All those disposable, non-disposable coffee cups in the ocean now.
Yeah, that all the sea turtles are dying because of it.
Right, because of Greg Avola.
Because of Greg. Untapped. You heard it here first. Untapped is killing sea turtles.
Right.
It's,
I don't know that
I
anybody
don't know.
who
I'm just here to
uses.
report the news.
I don't know that anybody who uses Untapped actually knows who Greg is. I think he got out unscathed.
Oh, he got out, yeah, he
he's
was-
cool.
yeah.
He's great. Great,
We're
great
dating
guy.
ourselves up here.
Well, we are at the sweetheart table.
More in a moment, but first, this message. Customers are rushing to your store. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. Shopify's sleek, reliable POS hardware takes every major payment method and looks fabulous at the same time. With Shopify POS, you can accept credit cards, mobile payments, and every other major payment method, all with low fees and transparent pricing starting on day one. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/drinkbeer. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/drinkbeer to take your retail business to the next level today. Shopify.com/drinkbeer. And now back to my conversation with Sam Masotto of Bonn Place Brewing.
I want to jump really quickly back to Saison and peanut butter and jelly, and why you think that's a nice pairing.
So
'Cause I
actu-
think it's a nice pairing. But
So the beer that everybody is. So this pin, of course, is very foamy, as everybody has probably realized. Just the jelly is the beer you're drinking. I racked this into a pin just in case a week ago, or
Yeah.
actually 5 days ago, and it's very active. It was at 1.5 Plato when I racked it. So
tell us about the beer.
Right. So our 6-year-old son and I picked about 100 pounds of plums and cherries off these trees right out here. And we knew that we were going to put them into a grisette.
I'm looking at a parking lot. You
Yep,
actually-
right behind the parking lot.
Okay.
Truly.
There's
Like,
plums
I
and
actually,
cherries.
I could go do the whole theatrics of it, right? I could open the door for everybody, which everybody should take note that the greenway right here, there's a portion of greenway that has fruiting trees, edible fruiting trees. The trees aren't. The fruit is. So Davi and I picked about 100 pounds of plums and cherries when we were evacuating the foeder last. And we were evacuating the foeder. It was the lemon yuzu shiro, which is on tap right now.
Yeah.
All local ingredients as well. And while the grisette went into the foeder, I had said to Ryan and Josh, I said, what do you guys think about using some of the... actually, after our conversation.
Yeah.
I said, well, why don't we put fruit butter from Bauman's Farms, from Bauman's the fruit butter...
Right. That you're contractually obligated to use.
In the beer, right, by the state.
Yeah, by the state.
July 15th, 2020. So we decided to get these fruit butters from Bauman's because we also knew that if they weren't from Pennsylvania, they were from New Jersey. It was local fruit.
Sure.
So we decided to condition this grisette on 120 pounds of apple, plum, and cherry butter. And what ended up happening was, of course, what does yeast do to sugar? As any good homebrewer knows.
Has a good time.
Yeah, as any good frat boy knows. So we conditioned it in the in stainless steel on those three fruit butters, and we decided to this event was to celebrate that beer. It is made with jelly, or fruit butter, right? There's a difference. You know the difference between jam and jelly, don't you?
No, please enlighten us.
Okay,
See, I'm bad at these. I'm bad at these puns. You were saying, is that?
The difference between jam and jelly is, of course, one has seeds, right?
Okay.
You can tune a fish, but you can't tune a piano or something. Evan, help me out. You're the music guy. That's right, sushi. Let's go. So speaking of pairings with Saison, ginger. So early on, Bonn Place was like, why don't we do custom beers? Why don't we do like ginger lime Saisons for people who like want to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary at an all-you-could-eat sushi restaurant? This is true. It's like an original business plan. So the fruit butter beer, we decided that we would put all the jelly in there, condition it on jelly, and that it would be a local ingredient, locally sourced, celebrating peanut butter and jelly and Saison podcasts. Yeah. And it goes back to my reason why Bonn Place exists. This is like, welcome to I'm Alice Cooper, baby.
There's that Charlie Day gif that exists where he's got all of the red strings and the pictures, and he's just trying to connect all of the dots. This is how I feel trying to talk to you right now.
Yeah, imagine.
Where I have no idea where the fuck we are in this conversation anymore.
Well, there's metrics to it. There's a hologram that just regulates the entire thing. Did I answer your original question?
No.
Oh, okay. We used the fruit butter from Bauman's
in
because
a Saison.
Because so when they mandated this, I was like, we're not just going to use Crustables. We're going to do this thing, and I'm going to drive 100 miles each way to get peanut butter and jelly. And we got the jelly from Bauman's, and I fell in love with this place.
Okay.
Absolutely fell in love with their whole thing.
Yeah.
Caitlin Bauman's in the house right now.
Okay.
Yes. Huge shout out to this legacy of this is where Pennsylvania excels, right? It's just like the snack capital of the world.
Okay.
It is. It's like, and the Amish or whatever, and the Mennonites, they're like...
Well, you got your potato chips, you got your pretzels.
Potato chips, peanut butter, and they
Cured
go.
Cured meats.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And this place is like... One day I got into a conversation. They actually said, I don't know who used to work there. She had an interesting name, Clarissa, Cara. This person that used to get my email, she's like, boy, we love your emails. I was like, why? She's like, they're so funny. I was like... It's me saying I want to order fruit butter.
No, I can absolutely understand because I get those texts and I get those emails. I'll read some of them later on for folks who want them. But it starts off with you. So in the War of 1876, what you have to understand is when Liza Minnelli was accepting her very first Tony.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck are you telling me? It's like, so Saisons and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Yeah.
I think there's a Grammy and a Tony, right? So she is Dorothy's daughter.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with this place and everything about it, and my drives there became so romantic, right? It was like this I'm driving for salvation. And then I would go to Padre Pio across the street and like actually drive for salvation.
Okay.
And light a candle, you know, for loved ones. And this place became, and it's right by Hidden River Brewing Company, another brewery that I think is wonderful. And I think Josh, Kevin, and Blake and Mark do a wonderful job there as well.
Okay.
I think I named everybody. Please,
I
hope I named
them,
everybody.
yeah.
Ryan, I love you. Ryan, I love you. Stephen also in
I'm
the
gonna
audience.
start playing you off pretty soon.
Okay,
if you're
okay.
Yeah.
I need
naming everybody. Yeah.
So this became such a fond. I just had to use their fruit butter in a beer, and it was based on the conversation that Eugene and I had. Like, hey, let's have a book signing.
Right.
Well, why not have a book signing beer release? And in 2021, Mike Lorenz, who's sitting right here, his band did the same thing, and it was really wonderful. It was like the first thing after shutdowns.
Yeah.
We had this ticketed event where people got a bottle of Saison that we came up with the recipe together. A member of the band drew the label, and we all collaborated very much on this idea. And we brewed this beer to pair with the food and the music. And the beer was called Since You Slipped, which was a lyric in one of the songs.
Okay.
And everybody got a digital download of this album from the Witherbys.
Yeah.
So I said, why not model Just the Jelly after that, except instead of a band performing, the podcast is occurring.
The podcast is here.
And it's audience reaction. And it's visceral. It's always the missing element in beer, I feel like. So you could, of course, listen to carbonation, but who wants to do that? Or you could listen to conversation.
I know, there's a lot of brewers in this room.
Chris
I
Roth
imagine
is
who
actually
listen to
firsthand
carbonation
up.
as white noise. Yeah.
Right.
Listen to Carbonation any night.
Yeah.
Is that a metal band from the 80s?
We are carbonation.
So
Hello, Bethlehem.
So I think that was always the other sense, the tantalizing sense of Bonn Place. You know, there's no televisions, there's conversation.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, so there's the
Another
smell,
reason I
the
love this podcast,
taste,
yeah.
the feel. There's tactile sensation. You can't listen to beer, but you can listen to a band. You can listen to music. You can listen to conversation. So what's replacing it, in the case of Since You Slipped, is exactly this, and it is this it's just that's what's up about Bonn Place, you know. I'm gonna quote Linus again, you know.
The Great Pumpkin does exist.
Yeah.
When you think about, there's always this conversation about local, and for a long time, you know, people would come in and they wouldn't say what's your strongest. They'd say what's new, what's rare, what's local.
Oh.
And that was that big beer nerd question of going to places. But working with local companies, working with local ingredients. I'm not going to use the word terroir because that's,
we already went over that.
We already went over that. We did go over that.
Speaking of Nima.
Before we started. But does that resonate? Does that help even more with a sense of place? Or I don't know, even if it's 5% of the people who come through that resonate with it, does it, I don't know, does it help your soul as a brewer?
Yeah, and I think that's you know, John, what you're amazing at is picking up this, I think you do connect the dots more than you realize, right? We don't use local ingredients because we could say, oh, we could charge more for fresh and wet because we use local. We brew it every year because we get to get hops harvested the day before.
Right.
And locally sourced malt. I had a commitment when we first opened that every pallet of bulk malt that I would purchase from a supplier, I would do one recipe of local malt. And it's a commitment for me, so it does satisfy the soul. And that's something about, you're nailing it with Just the Jelly. This is all local ingredients, It's debatable whether hops actually ended up in it. I keep saying that we used Murphy's hops, and I'm being told that we did not. But it's in a clear bottle, so we'll be all right.
Okay.
So...
Is it a gruit? Are we drinking a gruit?
I guess you technically are, yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, there's no other herb, right? So it's a fruit.
Okay.
So, man, get that hook out, baby. I'm like, I don't know.
No,
I'm bombing.
it's the acoustics in here.
Oh,
it's just the
nobody can
acoustics.
actually hear anything
Nobody
I'm saying.
can hear it, yeah.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
And I have horrible hearing.
Okay.
So there is something satisfying. I would be curious to ask Ryan and Josh that same question. As for them, Ryan and Josh, would you say
they're
there's
hosting
something...
their own podcast right now?
Well, and they're also, doing what I said I was going to do. I'll serve everybody and do a podcast at the same time. Look at me. I can do everything. I'm an octopus. I can't do anything. So, octopus are so smart. Octopuses, it's not octopi, and it's not octopodes. It's octopuses. It's a bastardized Greek Latin word.
Get it back on the rails.
We're on the rails, baby. I got the top off the convertible, and I'm
Oh,
wearing.
no. This is the third rail.
Yeah.
This is...
Don't pee on it.
Yeah.
Not even if you get dared to. Oh, you asked
Next
about the
time-
weirdest thing I ever did in a video.
Uh-huh.
So, so I would say yes. There's something like very satisfying about using local whenever, and I wouldn't say whenever possible because that's not true. I would name Plan B as using local whenever possible.
Well, yeah, that's why I wasn't going to bring up terroir when
when we're
Evan's in
sitting
the room.
amongst
Evan and Emily.
and Evan. Yeah. The Seed in Atlantic City does a great job with that as
I've
well.
heard of them, yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I feel like
a lot of that great Atlantic City terroir, which it's,
that's why they get the malt from
it's
somewhere else.
It's cigarette butts and needles off of the beach. Yeah, it's
Speaking of
yeah.
Bethlehem in 2015.
Right.
But yeah, there is absolutely
atmosphere. Yeah.
there is absolutely a satisfaction to using local ingredients and to having relationships with these purveyors and these providers, and being able to go to these spots and talk to Kathy Bauman about what does it take to get 120 pounds of fruit butter, and her replying with, "Is Kathy your grandmom, your mom, your aunt, your?"
She's my mother-in-law, his mother.
Oh, word up. Okay, cool. Okay, so you're Bauman by relation, marriage. I mean, cool. And what is your name? John Bauman. Holy moly, we're really amongst.
We're amongst
greatness.
Eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Southeast
royalty. Yeah.
So there's something about going to Kathy Bauman and saying like, "Hey, how do I get 120 pounds of fruit butter?" Thank you, Gina. How do I get 120 pounds of fruit butter? And her saying, "Oh, geez, well, we just got these plums in, and I've got these cherries in the freezer, and you know what? We can get them to you in 3 weeks." And me calling incessantly, be like, "Hey, just one." And they're like, "We're gonna get them to you. And me showing up, and sure enough, 120 pounds. They're like, "We do this for one other place in Philadelphia that makes ice cream with it." There is something so rad about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take trips there just cause, and I'm like, I got a lot of work to do. I can't be taking trips here just cause. This was 2020, of course. More recently, though, I mean, truly having those relationships, being able to call up Scott Murphy and saying we need 60 pounds of Cascade hops for fresh and wet.
Yeah.
Being able to call up Mark Brault, where Josh, who brews here now, worked with Mark for years. He's a maltster by former life. So again, I'd be curious to ask other people who my coworkers here, but also other brewers in the room. There is something satisfying for the brewer, and you don't really necessarily got to I don't know that the consumer always cares.
Yeah.
But I think there is a certain level, and I don't think I've ever gotten, what do you have that's local? I've never gotten that question.
All right.
Rare, maybe people seek it out. They're like, well, I heard you have a Troon beer on. Okay, something like this. But otherwise, I don't think anybody's ever said, what do we have to kick to get this on?
Okay.
Oh, and then...
Yeah, that's a great way of moving beer, by the way.
Oh, I love it. I love when people, because
yeah.
I'm like, you're really paying attention. It's like, where's Daft? I'm like, how'd you know it's even in queue? They're like, I saw it on Instagram. How do I get it on? I'm like, you got to drink this beer. They're like, I'm drinking it on. I'm doing that.
I'm going to order 60 pints right now.
I'm here for that. Yeah.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you the green door
Don't
question.
ever let me go, Jack.
That's...
Or Liza Minnelli.
This table isn't buoyant and big enough for the two of us right now.
Even though you have your life vest
my
on.
life vest on, yeah. I just jumped ship. I'm wearing my Marty McFly right now.
I'll just get a tab. You haven't ordered anything yet. I'll take a Pepsi free.
I am wearing, just for everybody who's listening at home, I have this this down vest that I ordered. That
Land's End?
It's REI. It's like the REI brand, whatever that is. So
I meant
just
BB elbow bean, LL bean.
Yes. The color looked a lot darker online when I got it, and this is full Coast Guard orange. When this is full life preserver, but it's warm and it's comfortable and it looks okay with the flannel shirt. So I was like, fine. Which is also really fun that I'm wearing a down vest and sneakers.
If you had Nikes that dried themselves, you'd be. And I'm only
right
using
now.
the Marty McFly
and you're wearing
thing
a button-down shirt and a bow tie right now.
And an
so
apron.
I feel,
Don't
and
forget
an apron, yeah. And nice
They're
jeans.
Levi's.
Ooh, well, all right.
Made
we're
for the
matched on
American
that.
worker.
Anyway, wardrobe aside, I'm going to cut off most of this from the conversation, by the way. I want to ask you the green door question.
Talk to me. I have a green door in my apartment, by the way.
In the television show
Did
The
you know
Good
there's a place around here called the Green Door that's for swingers?
No.
It's in Freemansburg. It's a real.
No, that's not for swingers.
It's not for swing. We're not talking about not on the air.
For swinger.
If it happened before 1986, I know about it. If it happened after 86, I don't know.
All right, hang on. All right, the green door question, which has nothing to do with swingers, although maybe it will in just
That's
a
a
moment.
great
Let's
movie,
ask the
too.
question.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Can you hand me my DuPont, please? Thank you. Is this the first beer you've ever served me, John?
Probably.
I love that.
Are we
Can we
drinking
talk
Trooper
about when you
Pils as
wrote
well?
real quick that
Yeah.
so Pony Bar,
Uh-huh.
flash forward to me working in a pork shop as a vegetarian, you
Yeah.
come through to write a thing about Mr. Harry. You come here after GABF and do a thing for Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine.
Sure.
You've come here a number of times.
I've
We've
been here
done
a
things
number
with
of
Wine
times.
Enthusiast
Yep.
Magazine, of course.
Yeah.
If I could just keep saying how
Sure,
great you
all
are.
about beer, all
and
these
now
other
we are
things, yeah.
here.
And
And
now
then,
we're
of course,
here, yeah.
the podcast you do with
The
Augie.
podcast, sure, yeah. Steal
whatever.
This Beer,
Steal,
yeah.
Steal
Yeah.
This Beer, where nobody talks but
Nobody
Sam.
talks. Yeah.
So, so what's your question?
All right, the green door question is, in the television show The Good Place, in the final season, they introduce a concept of a green door where the characters can walk through
Yeah.
and be anywhere doing whatever they want to be doing. If we had a green door on our plane of existence
Yeah.
that you could walk through after this conversation is over
Yeah.
and be at any pub or any brewery anywhere in the world, where would you want to go? Who would you want to be with?
Oh,
and what
geez.
would you like to be drinking? Strap in, kids.
I'm gonna give you the easy answer and say that right here, right now, truly, because that was the first thing that came to mind. But I would like to give that a second thought.
Sure, take your time.
But right here, right now would be great. I mean, like this is great. I'm drinking a Saison DuPont with
yeah.
people that I really love, and I don't know why would I want to be anywhere else. But shoot, man, oh man, I'd be on a desert island with a Genesee cream ale. I don't know. I feel like
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not even true though. You know, green door. Iceland comes to mind. England, the UK comes to mind. I never have interesting answers for this. You see,
This is not a yeah. This is,
brewery Zot. I remember having a really good time with Gina there years ago. That was rad. You know, like I have really great. I think I've done all of that.
okay.
So like, oh, you know, it'd be cool.
No.
I'd love to be at Newburgh Brewing Company with Paul Haleko right now drinking a cream ale.
Okay.
I would love that.
That's a great answer.
I would love that. That would really be great.
All right.
I think I'm gonna do that soon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm gonna bring a green door with me and be like, Paul, hold this for a second. I'm gonna kick this sucker
I need
down.
to do something for Instagram.
Yeah. I would say with Emily and Evan on the farm, that was my 40th birthday, and it wasn't a green door. It was a refrigerator door, and I had to be pulled out of there because I was in the lager cave drinking like fresh lager out of a refrigerated foeder, and it was, or I don't even know if that's what was happening. Yeah. You would if anybody. Emily would if anybody. Yeah, there's a lot of answers to that question, but truly, Here and Now was the first one, and then second, final answer, Paul Haleko, Newburgh Brewing Company. Yeah.
I think what I'm going to need to do for this episode is sort of
edit
that
it.
director's commentary,
Yeah.
but just have Gina pull out the Rosetta Stone and just sort of give us.
What was that other stone that they use, like Hammurabi's code? Like, you need that stone. This is deep stuff. This
Oh
is
my
like,
gosh.
this is hexagonal, you know.
Thank you to you and to Gina and to everybody here
Thank
for
you.
an amazing experience this evening, for great Saison, for great company, for obviously for the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but really just what you all have created and done. This is important for beer, and this is important for that beer experience. So thanks for having us here. Thanks, everybody, for coming out.
Yeah. Thank you.
My sincere thanks to everyone who came out to the brewery for this event. And on this Thanksgiving week, please accept my thanks to all of you for listening, for supporting All About Beer, and for the great notes you're always sending along. I hope that this week is calm, happy, and filled with good food and good company for you all. If you need to reach me, you can get in touch with questions, comments, guest suggestions, or anything else. It's John Hall, that's JOHNHOLL at allaboutbeer.com. And a reminder, go visit allaboutbeer.com. There you can check out the podcast page, the merch page, and read great new content as well as the archives going back to 1979. Follow All About Beer on social media at All About Beer. And if you're interested in supporting journalism in the beer space, and really, why wouldn't you be? Email us at info@allaboutbeer.com for advertising information, or simply go to patreon.com/allaboutbeer. Speaking of advertising, here is a quick word from this episode's sponsor. Shopify's already taken the cash register online, helping millions sell billions around the world. But did you know that Shopify can do the same thing at your retail store? Give your point of sale system a serious upgrade with Shopify. Shopify POS is your command center for your retail store. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify has everything you need to sell in person. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/drinkbeer. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/drinkbeer to take your retail business to the next level today. Shopify.com/drinkbeer. Don't forget, All About Beer is a podcast channel now. Search and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Still This Beer has new episodes every Monday, and the BYO Nano podcast comes out on the 15th of every month. As for this show, Nate Weber does the music, Jeff Quinn designed our logo, and I'm John Hall. New episodes release every Wednesday, and that's when I'm going to be back again to drink beer and to think beer.